Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week it's our birthday.
Yep. It doesn't.
Wham, wham, wham.
It doesn't. It just means we're 1 year older. At this point in our lives, it just means we're 1 year older.
Sam, as this episode is coming out, I am already 38. You are probably turning 38, like the day this comes out or right around it.
Probably.
And yeah, solidly in our late 30s now.
It just is so old, isn't it?
It's starting to feel...
It's a big number.
Well, it's just starting to hit the points where I am now older than ages that I remember adults being when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So like uncles that I like remember when I was a kid hanging out with at barbecues and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, I am now the age or older like than they were at those family barbecues that I have very clear memories of.
Yeah.
So when I look in the mirror and I see their faces, I shouldn't be too surprised.
No, and they seemed so with it. Do you feel like you're with it?
One, some of them, I'm sure I am more with it than they were.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But two, I think as kids, your perception of adults having their shit together
like
is
this
just
person
wrong.
This person can stand still for more than 2 minutes. So wow, they really got their shit together.
I think that the fact that they can drive a car and live in a house, you're like, whoa, adulthood is awesome.
That guy doesn't eat bugs off the ground.
But then you're like, wait a minute, my uncle had 6 roommates and like, okay, like I prefer my life to having 6 roommates.
That's true. You never know what's going on with people when you're a kid.
Yeah, and I think that's also a thing of like as you become this age, whether it's yourself or your friends, like looking around and being like, oh, okay, not all 38-year-olds have their shit together, and that's okay.
Yeah. And a lot of older people than 38 don't have their shit together. Or sometimes
Very
you do
true.
for a while, then your shit comes untogether. That's okay.
But I am feeling my age physically more now that I have a kid because I have to carry her everywhere and pick her up and set her down. Sam, everything hurts.
That's
its knees, its back. It's just
so that's
like
where
a
it comes
constant
from.
ache.
It comes from having to pick your kid up all the time.
Yeah, and like it's one of those things. I'm sure people have experienced this, or I guess people over maybe 35 have experienced this often. When you do an activity, whether it's helping out, like putting together furniture around the house, or bringing in groceries or something like that. Sometimes you use muscles that you don't realize you're using in a different way.
Yeah.
And then an hour later, you're like, why does that hurt? And it's because an hour ago, you lifted up a gallon of milk with your left hand weirdly, and now you pulled something. That's what being old is like.
I definitely do go, and this is a cliche, but when I get up and sit down, I definitely go, ugh.
Yeah. No, it's been a lot more of that recently. And, last weekend I was doing some plumbing, fixing our toilets.
Oh, yeah. You put like a new toilet in or something, huh? You fixed a wax seal or something?
Replaced all of its guts, essentially.
Yeah, right.
And in the process, I could just feel about halfway through, like, this is gonna hurt.
Yeah.
I can just feel every muscle in my body is. Yeah, it did. I could just tell my body was getting tense and bending over and having to go under things, and it's just not what a 38-year-old body's meant to do.
Why are we still expected to have to do anything at this age? Come on.
I think part of my problem is that I don't do anything else. And then suddenly I'm like, I should fix the toilet. And it's like, well, okay, calm down.
Right. Looked like you did a great job fixing the toilet, though.
It's better. It's
That's
quieter.
the kind of thing a 38-year-old does.
And doesn't even necessarily think too much about it.
Yeah.
If I was 25 and I fixed a toilet, I'd be telling everyone for weeks.
You would have made a 12-minute YouTube video about how you fix the toilet.
Yeah.
Hey, with guys. Fixing the toilet today.
Well, we are here to celebrate our oldness and our birthdays. And for those that don't know, every year, Sam and I have September birthdays. And every year on the podcast, we pick a non-Muppet thing. We each pick a non-Muppet thing that's usually Muppet adjacent or something that has puppets in it. Sort of, piece of media, whether it's a movie or a TV show. We pick them out. We make the other person watch it. And we talk about it here on the podcast.
Is the idea of this that it's supposed to be a little treat for us? Because I feel like the mission has creeped.
Yeah, it's an interesting trajectory, I think, on this whole venture. One, I think the first couple of years, this served as a step away from the commitment timeline. Yeah. Like we were solidly watching Muppets every single week in our timeline. And so we took a little break to talk about some other puppets or something.
Toulon's Revenge, for instance.
Yeah. So it used to be a little treat or a little step away from Muppets. And then it became, let's find some crazy shit to watch.
Yeah.
And now it's even weirder because we haven't talked about Muppets in so long, really, on this podcast.
These are the first Muppets we've seen in a while.
So, it's been so long since we've been on the commitment timeline of watching things that we don't really need to step away from anything right now. We've had nice interviews. We've had people on the podcast. And then it's like, wait, let's stop and talk about two of the weirdest shows no one's ever heard of.
Yeah. And I also feel like a part of it is when we're talking about stuff, sometimes we'll like Google and be like, whoa, we gotta watch that.
So I have a list in my phone that's like things to maybe talk about in a birthday episode.
Right.
Because we often will reference things and think maybe we should talk about those in some context.
Maybe as a way to spare ourselves from having to watch this kind of stuff that we'll talk about. Maybe we could have like episodes every now and then where it's like other puppet shows, where it's like we watched, like we could do this, but not on our birthday. And then on our birthday, we could watch something nice.
Let's go through the list here because we want to see maybe who's to blame for this.
Well, okay. I don't like where this is going at all.
So when we started off 2021, first year of the podcast, I picked What About Bob, which was directed by Frank Oz, starred
puppets.
Fran Brill. There was puppets.
Oh,
the therapist, remember, used little hand puppets to communicate.
Yes, he does. You're right.
Sam picked Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge.
Yeah, it's right there in the name.
While, sort of schlocky, was still fun.
It was fun. Yeah, and I also think somebody who worked on the Muppets worked on it, so that one kind of squeaked in.
Yeah, we ended up finding, I think, some people in the Puppeteers who did happen to work on a Sesame Street or something at some point.
And it was fun and stupid.
Yes. 2022, Sam picked an episode of Eureka's Castle called It Came From Beneath the Bed or A Nightmare on Magellan Street.
Episode that traumatized me as a child.
Yeah, also very fun, very good. And I picked the movie Scooby-Doo Adventures, The Mystery Map.
That one is, this week, that year is leaning more towards what it would become, for sure.
Yeah, that was trying to find something that we maybe would never watch on this podcast.
Yeah.
Had puppets.
It was an interesting little relic of history, a very odd thing.
Yeah, and the fact that, one, it wasn't that long ago, and it was a bunch of current Muppet performers like Matt Vogel and others puppeteering in that. So it made sense for us to watch, but it also was a very weird watch. 2023, I picked The Blues Brothers, and Sam picked Project Alf.
Oh, that was a fun year.
That was a fun year.
Yeah.
I don't think 2023 was the one that steered us away.
No, I think
there's a very clear pick from 2024 that we sort of, for some reason, didn't learn our lesson and doubled down on.
Yeah,
because
we pretty much watched the same thing.
Yes. I picked the 1994 film The Flintstones.
Oh, great. A masterpiece.
Nice, harmless, cute, fun.
Lots
and
of hints and
Sam,
puppets, right?
very much so, yeah. And like something that we may have actually talked about at some point on this show, but it was gonna take too long, so I wanted to talk about it then. But Sam picked Greg the Bunny.
Now, okay. I didn't know that Greg the Bunny was going to be the way it was.
I also didn't realize Greg the Bunny was a format that other puppet shows were copying in the late 90s.
Right. What my experience, I don't know if I must have covered this last time. My experience with Greg the Bunny was more like the man on the street interviews and like MTV stuff that he did at a different point in his career, and not the gross Fox show. But continue.
So this year, a while back, Sam texted me about a show that he had discovered through some nefarious means of Googling worst puppet shows in the history of the world. Maybe.
No, I think I was looking for shows about aliens disguised as Muppets. I think we had talked about that on the show, and I Googled it.
Yeah, I think we had discussed some pitches that we had for how the Muppets could do a different kind of show, and we landed on an idea where the Muppets could be aliens in a sort of Transformers-like way where they come to Earth and try to blend in with humans.
Yeah, I can picture Kermit pulling the matrix of leadership out of his chest. He'd pull it out of the hole at the bottom of him, actually, probably.
Yeah, that'd be way easier. Don't have to cause any, trauma.
Yeah.
Maybe he just carries like a glowing seam ripper.
Oh,
and that's how he gets it out of him.
And he can take lives with it. Muppet lives. Oh, he's ripping his own chest open?
Yes.
Matt, all that
when
Optimus
he has to give
Prime
it to Robin.
had to do. What do you do? Optimus Prime would just open his chest up. He didn't have to do anything bad. He was
but he wasn't sewn shut.
That's true. Oh, I see what you're saying. Velcro. Kermit's got to invest in some Velcro.
Yeah. Maybe the Muppets don't know about Velcro, but Kermit has a secret.
Don't tell him. Then all the guys whose hands don't work would be able to pick stuff up. That would be a nightmare.
But only they couldn't set anything down.
Unless they went, I'm shaking my hand very hard.
I think the sound communicated that pretty clearly.
Yeah.
Well, in the process of searching for alien puppet TV shows, Sam found the 1997 show Lost on Earth, which we'll talk more about real soon.
I'm sorry. I wish I hadn't.
And while that show was made for adults and has some heavy adult sitcom vibes to it, and they feel like they have a quota where they have to mention the word sex every 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I picked a show that I thought would be more harmless.
Your show is much more overtly sexual than my show.
Shockingly, I picked a show that aired as part of the Fox TV lineup that for a while was lost media and people just couldn't remember if it actually existed.
Yeah.
Turns out it did. And
all the real dedicated busybodies out there trying to find Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah, some heads.
And writing one of the longest Wikipedia entries I've ever seen for a show of this caliber. It's so big.
Yeah. I picked the 1998 series, The Mr. Potato Head Show. Something I did not know existed until I was scrolling through the Wikipedia page for American TV puppet shows, trying to see if anything sort of sparked my childhood nostalgia that I wanted to watch, or much like this, was something I had never heard of. And when I looked it up and saw how absolutely wild it is, and it's a thing that came out in my lifetime and I have no memory of it, I knew we had to check it out. And I think we watched 2 episodes of each of these, and I've had enough of both of them.
We'll get into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them was a little better than the other, I would say. But
okay, I can't wait to hear that, because I think they're bad in very different ways. So I would have a hard time deciding which is worse. But before we get into that, Sam, we got a Muppet Show on the way.
Yeah, what's going on with this?
There is a pilot called The Muppet Show being developed and filmed very soon that is being produced by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. The thing that makes me encouraged about this is that I think sometimes you'll hear, celebrity attached to this project, and it's somebody who maybe doesn't have a proven track record of producing successful things, but is just a funny person, or has written one movie or something like that. So in my head, while Seth Rogen maybe isn't the first choice people might have for a Muppet Show, I think the fact that he has proven that he can make great TV shows in various genres successfully for a long time. Like, I'm not a fan of The Boys, but he produces that and people love that shit.
Yeah, totally.
And so the fact that he's making The Studio and The Boys and Ninja Turtles and all these things, that I understand why he would be tapped for something like this. And from what I've seen, the times he's interacted with Muppets, he does have sort of a respect for the Muppets. He has a very funny, maybe one of the few funny Muppets Now moments where he's hanging out with the babies, and they keep calling him Rogan. And
the Muppet Babies?
No.
Oh, the creepy babies.
The creepy babies are like swarming him, being like, Rogan. Oh,
and I would be so like, disappointed.
Dad. He's like, I am not your father.
I'd be so disappointed if I showed up to set and they were like, here's the Muppets you're working with.
I mean, he made the best of
it.
So yeah, honestly, I don't have any problem with Seth Rogen being the one attached to this. I think he can make a really good show. I think I'm more worried about the idea of rebooting the Muppet Show in general, like that they are making a new Muppet Show with sketches and performances. So, I'll be very curious to see one, what that looks like, and two, what the public perception of it will be.
I just fear that we're not a culture that's very interested in sketches anymore.
I understand that, but I think also, once a week, once every few weeks, something from SNL goes pretty viral and breaks into the mainstream, and everyone knows about, like, Domingo.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, if the Muppets can get a Domingo, like, I think they could sort of cater to internet culture and have these occasional, like, clips that go viral.
Yeah.
And maybe it brings people into the show.
Yeah, like a lot of good celebrity interaction, like, YouTubeable moments.
Well, I know it's something that people missed from the 2015 show, and I think we've had multiple guests mention this on the show before. The guests we've had who maybe didn't love that show as much. Yeah. One of the things they miss is, one, there's no sketches, but two, musical performances are not a priority. Right. Whether it's done by the Muppets or a musical guest, the 2015 show would play about 15 seconds of, Imagine Dragons and then cut away to what's happening backstage.
Right.
Which the Muppet Show also would do at times, but more often than not, you get a full musical performance from Debbie Harry or whatever.
Yeah, and I do feel like if they applied maybe a similar aesthetic to, or like a similar idea as the old Muppet Show, to where it's like, we have these musical acts, they're not necessarily all funny, like we're doing cool stuff in some of them. I do feel like if they get big enough musicians, a cool effect-filled thing of them singing a song could be really popular.
Yeah, and I think one thing I'll be most curious about is the tone, because I know a lot of people had problems with the more cynical tone of the 2015 show.
Right.
And I think it's hard to make, it's maybe not hard to make, but it's probably makes a lot of sense when you're in the writer's room and trying to write a very wholesome Muppet-based thing, to not try and write it in contrast to the world, and especially the world of things like streaming media or the kind of TV that's out there now. It's hard not to, write at this as like, we're going to make the Muppet Show and streamers are terrible and this CEO is the worst, and sort of have it be in conflict with the idea of modern TV, because, the Muppet Show was a throwback when it came out in the 70s to like 20s vaudeville. And so that's for the old heads watching to get that out of it. And so if you were going to do that now, it would be a throwback to the 70s when the Muppet Show came out.
Yeah.
Which I think you can do and pull that off. But it's a small needle to thread.
It is. And maybe they need to go up a little. Maybe they need to be thrown back to the 90s or something. Maybe.
Like, what is that thing like that we're nostalgic for, that maybe we're not even nostalgic for, but our parents would be nostalgic for, to throw back to? And I think it's really hard, because I think there's some things where people are going to want to see Kermit sing Rainbow Connection, but on the Muppet Show, they didn't repeat stuff. They didn't go back to the hits a lot. They tried new things all the time. They did random covers of Beatles songs and all this stuff. So
yeah, and I guess it's hard to imagine, like, Jim lived that, like, that was his whole life, and it's hard to imagine people that's not their whole life taking it as seriously or being able to do the same kind of stuff that he did that made it successful, which is
Yeah.
also like he had a pretty thin needle thread or a pretty small hold thread too, I think.
Absolutely. And I think we've saw that sometimes he missed. The Muppet Show is sort of
Mhm.
an anomaly in so many ways. And so trying to recreate that magic is not necessarily a fool's errand,
Yeah.
but is making the job way harder for yourself
Yeah.
than maybe you need to.
I think I just feel so hesitant about not doing something where you tell a story with them because I liked the ABC show and I liked the Electric Mayhem show so much that it's like that was like so close.
But maybe what people need is, not fully in the direction of T-shirt Muppets of just
Yeah.
catchphrase, catchphrase, catchphrase.
Yeah.
But maybe you only need 3 minutes of Gonzo in an episode to love Gonzo and to love the show.
Right.
And you can bring in some of the older, you can bring back Hilda, you can bring back Mildred and George and all these people.
Yeah.
And truly, I think you can lean into the nostalgia of this without it feeling like, oh, we just got to play the hits and try to make people remember it. Because there's also the problem here where, as people who have somewhat recently watched The Muppet Show, we know that not all those episodes are good.
That's a great point.
You're trying to compete with people's memory of a show
Yeah.
that most people have seen maybe 5 episodes of.
Yeah.
And don't have very
That's
strong
right.
memories of the show itself because they watched it in the background when they were growing up and they love the Muppets, but do they love the Muppet Show?
Well, I also hope if it happens, it's not like 8 episodes. It's got to be like 20 something. I think they, like what you're saying, if it's 8 episodes, all of them need to be perfect. But
Right.
if they just try to do a season of 20 something episodes, then
Yeah. Well, I think there's also, if it's 8, they're going to try and build like an overarching story into it, where something is happening sort of throughout all the episodes to connect them to keep you watching. Whereas I don't feel like it needs that. I think you could have each one stand alone on its own, and that benefits the Muppet Show because you can turn on any random episode of that show and enjoy it.
Right. Yeah.
I know streamers like people to build
Have
in little
cliffhangers and stuff.
things. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm more curious at this point about, what people's reaction to it will be if, they'll get one episode in and go, I like the Muppet Show, and then stop watching.
Yeah.
Or also what sort of guests they'll be getting, because I think there's an easy way to go where you just go to like, the Billboard Top 100 and pick the first 5 people
Right.
and then get your Jacob Elordis and like famous actors and stuff right now. But I think you got to mix in some of the old timers, the people past their prime.
The old Muppet Show had people past their prime. Like,
yeah, like at the end of their career, it was like, oh yeah, this guy died a week after he did the Muppet Show.
Well, even like Elton John in his appearance was a long time into his career, and he wasn't washed up by any means, but that was like, he was already like, hey, remember me?
Yeah. And they should, I think, a free idea for you, Seth Rogen, do an episode that brings back every living
that would be awesome.
Muppet Show guest in one episode. And that
gotta
could
get
be
Candace Bergen back with the Muppets.
I mean, there's a good number of them still alive. You got Mark Hamill, you got Elton John, Julie Andrews. You got a bunch of people there. Rita Moreno. Like, there's a lot of people you could bring back, and maybe you could even do a thing where you're bringing back one old guest and one new guest in one episode. So you have Chapel Rowan and Rita Moreno hanging out with the Muppets together. You have Chapel Rowan perform Fever with Animal.
Yeah.
That's a way you could do some nostalgia acts.
People like music.
Whoa, breaking news.
I do think that's a good way into it. I feel like of anybody who's a celebrity these days, the ones that people actually like are all musicians. Does that not feel a little bit true? Like, movie stars are just like, they don't captivate people right now as much as any kind of musician does, I feel like.
They're going to build so much hype around this, but I'm afraid it's going to be the 8 episodes and dies kind of thing, as opposed to it gets a full season run and gives it a fair shot. It's going to be like when the Rise of Skywalker came out and they're like, this is the Star Wars to end all Star Wars. It's what you've always wanted. And it came out and it stunk.
It kind of did threaten to end all Star Wars in a way.
It kind of did end all Star Wars, or at least the enthusiasm for
movies,
it. And so that's also the thing, is I think maybe there's a part of me that's just worried that, like, all right, Muppets, this might be your last shot.
Right.
Like, everyone's been clamoring what everyone says they want is a new Muppet show.
Yeah.
And so when you finally give it to them, it better pay off.
All you Muppet fans, you got to be cool. Don't say anything mean about it. Just watch the show, let it play out. Go on Reddit and say, this show's great. Just pretend, even if it's not. Please, we need to let them cook for a minute.
To that, because I feel like when Muppets Mayhem came out and even Muppets Haunted Mansion and stuff, even the Muppet fans who want more Muppet stuff to exist and are like sort of in the circle we sort of operate in online,
right?
So many of them, all I saw them talking about was, even if they liked it, was the things they wish were better. And I'm like, man, if I'm Disney and I'm looking at the most devoted fans, won't even say a nice thing about our show ever. Who are we trying to please here?
Yeah, exactly.
But who knows? Maybe they'll just stick a bunch of, Marvel people in an episode because they've got Doomsday coming out at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And they'll just do promotional tie-ins for every Disney movie. Put Stitch in the Muppets.
Well, enough talking about the Muppets.
Oh yeah, that's not what we do here, right?
Let's talk about more disgusting, horrible, reprehensible puppets.
All right, we've avoided it long enough, Sam. What did we watch this week?
First, chronologically speaking at least, we watched Lost on Earth, a sitcom that aired on the USA Network in 1997. 13 episodes were produced, but only 6 were aired, and we watched the first and last of those aired episodes. So the first episode is called They're Live, and in it we meet newsman David Rudy. The fact that his first name and last name are both first names was confusing to me.
Especially the second episode we watched, his boss kept calling him Rudy.
Yeah, I was like, who the fuck is Rudy?
I thought they changed the character's name.
Yeah, me too. So anyway, while on location at a zoo, a chimpanzee starts to hump David Rudy's face. And this incident gets him in trouble at work.
Both of these shows start off with the most vile thing you can describe.
I didn't actually describe the horrible thing that happens in the beginning of Mr. Potato Head.
I put it in my notes, so don't worry about it.
We'll get into it. So this incident gets him in trouble at work, but instead of being fired, his girlfriend, Sherry, who's the network's business manager or something like that, convinces her dad, who's the station owner, his name's George, to let him try to prove his worth by creating a puppet show using some old puppets that they have stored in the studio prop room. George agrees to these terms. David begrudgingly agrees to do this. He goes to the prop room to kind of like bemoan his fate and check out these new puppets that he's stuck with. But as he does so, he finds out that the puppets are alive and they're not even puppets at all. They're time-traveling life forms from another dimension who travel to Earth to study Earth, but when choosing their disguises, this particular crew picked up a broadcast of the Muppet Show, and they thought that humans must look like puppets, so they disguised themselves as puppet humans. But then when they got to Earth, they found out that they were wrong and that humans look like humans. So now this is kind of speculation. I guess they hide out in the storage room of this building to not arouse suspicion and ruin the mission for the others of their kind on Earth. That's my read on it, at least. I don't know how they ended up where they ended up.
Yeah, it's not clear from the 2 episodes we watched, and there was less progress between the 2 episodes we watched than I thought there would be.
Yeah, totally.
Especially with the way the first episode ends. I was like, all right, here we go. And then they're kind of just doing the same thing in episode 6.
Yeah. So the puppets agree to help David make a show, but they ask him not to reveal their existence to the world. But upon meeting these living puppets, David smells an opportunity to become a reporter again, and he immediately calls the press and tells them that he has a scoop. He lies and says it's about some recent bank robberies, but he intends to reveal the existence of these living puppets. When the press arrives, the puppets pull a classic Michigan J. Frog, and they all act dead. And then even after everybody leaves, the puppets still act dead and refuse to talk to David. So he drives home, and on his drive home, Angela, who's the girl puppet, who's described as horny on the Wikipedia. They're all horny, to be fair.
Yeah, they're all pretty horny, but Angela, okay. I'm gonna. How do I keep this appropriate?
Yes.
In the past, we've talked about how the puppets, the Muppets that can most likely kill you, are ones like Swedish Chef who have human hands.
Oh, yes.
Angela has a human body from the neck down.
Yes, she is occasionally played by a fully dressed in a costume woman. Is that right?
I think so.
Okay.
So, you know, when she's flirting with the humans, you're like, yeah, I guess that could work.
That's fine. This seems fine.
Yeah. It's like a Jessica Rabbit situation.
Yeah. It's a woman with a thin layer of felt on top of her. So anyway, she's in the back of his car. She pops up. There's a couple scary moments with Angela, I gotta say. She's mad at him, but she tells David that he needs to apologize to everybody and that they'll forgive him if he does that. So he goes back to the studio. He apologizes. They put him through a little bit of a rigmarole, but they forgive him in the end, and they help him put on a really unfunny puppet news show so he doesn't get fired. Then in the final aired episode called Acceptance, David goes into the prop room to discover that the puppets are stalking / worshiping Michael Richards, who plays Kramer on Seinfeld, because they think that he's one of their kind. So they have mentioned before that there's other, it's like Men in Black. Certain celebrities are also aliens in disguise. Or I guess they're not even aliens. I don't know why they're not aliens.
They're time traveling beings from
another
space.
dimension.
So they are, I think, aliens of some kind, but they don't necessarily say, hey, we're aliens.
Yeah, they don't, is right. Which they just should say that they're aliens. Anyway, meanwhile, George, the station manager, has hired a new advertising executive to help the station get their viewership up. And Sherry is feeling like her ideas aren't being listened to or appreciated by her dad anymore. Sherry goes to the prop room to visit David and discovers the corkboard that the puppets are using to track all of Michael Richards' movements. And she thinks that David is stalking him, but David covers by saying that he knows Michael Richards and he's just trying to reconnect with him. Later, in a meeting, Sherry blurts out that David could get an interview with Michael Richards in an attempt to impress her dad. So David is trapped in a web of his own lies, and he turns to the puppets to help him track down Michael Richards, which they do, but they discover that he is not one of them, and he refuses to come to you don't see Michael Richards or anything like that. They just call him on the phone.
Shocking that there's this much of a TV episode devoted to talking about Michael Richards,
and they say his name
never
so many
see
times.
Even a picture of the man.
And it feels if I was giving this show too much credit, I would say it feels purposeful, the amount of times that they're like, and he's gonna walk in right now, like it's a joke, but I think it's just an accident or something.
And they're on a different network, so the odds of that happening were slim anyways.
Right.
But I feel like that should be the joke then, is that like, well, of course we can't afford big celebrity Michael Richards, but it really feels like at any moment he is going to walk in.
Yeah. And
or at least walk by and just, I don't know. It's a very odd choice.
I do wonder if, I mean, they must have reached out to him to say, will you please be in this?
But then change it to somebody you can get. Like, you don't, there's plenty of people who look like aliens.
Yeah. Just pretend somebody else on the USA Network is a big star and just get them to come do it.
You know, one of the very few trivia pieces about this on IMDb is that it was advertised during Monday Night Raw because it was also on USA.
Oh, get a wrestler.
Get a wrestler. Get the Undertaker.
Hell,
he's an alien.
That would have been awesome. I bet the guy who plays the Soup Nazi would have done it if you had asked him.
Yeah, he's probably watching at home like, why didn't they just ask?
Yeah.
I've done everything. I've been the Soup Nazi in like 20 other shows.
Anyway, so David has failed to get an interview with Michael Richards, but instead decides that he and the puppets should make a Seinfeld parody, and that will be just as good and get him out of trouble. So they do it. They show it to his boss, George, who despises it. But before David can get in trouble, Sherry kind of jumps in and admits that she coerced David into trying to get an interview with Michael Richards because she was feeling underappreciated by her father. So then George apologizes and David just gets off scot-free, and that's the end of the episode. Next, we watched The Mr. Potato Head Show, which aired on Fox Kids during the 1998-1999 television season. In this show, Mr. Potato Head, or PH for short, and his friends, the kitchen crew, who are all food except for one who's a bug, run a production company out of their house where they make TV shows for a pair of mercurial and patronizing TV executives who hate everything that the kitchen crew makes, and they constantly are calling and asking Mr. Potato Head to change the format of his show from like a cop show to a musical to a superhero show to an educational show. In the first episode, Aliens Dig Baloney, PH sends his best friend, Baloney, to the studio to drop off their latest episode. But along the way, Baloney is abducted by aliens and he comes back traumatized by the experiments that they conducted on him. However, none of the kitchen crew believe that he was abducted by aliens, and they make fun of him, which drives him away. Meanwhile, the TV executives ask Mr. Potato Head to make their show a monster show, so PH asks Dr. Fruitcake, who is the resident mad scientist of the studio, to make a monster. So Dr. Fruitcake creates a rampaging ham Frankenstein that starts to smash everything up. Betty, the kitchen fairy, appears to PH and tells him to apologize to Baloney, letting PH know that the aliens taught Baloney how to blow up ham when he was abducted. So PH goes and finds Baloney and gives him kind of a half-assed apology, but it's good enough for Baloney, who comes out. He says the magic words. He blows up the ham. They all sing a song, and that's the end of the episode.
Man, when you describe it, it sounds fun.
I thought it was almost pretty fun.
I think almost pretty fun is not a bad description.
Yeah. The next episode is called The Thing in the Microwave. The kitchen crew are making a superhero show, but Queen Sweet Potato, who is Miss Piggy basically, a ripoff of Miss Piggy, she's the star of the show, can't fit in her costume. She decides to go on a diet, and the kitchen crew help her by hiding all the food. Queenie eventually goes insane with hunger and tries to eat all of her friends, who are food and a bug, before finding a 6,000-year-old bag of popcorn behind the fridge. She pops it in the microwave and unwittingly unleashes Blastrogoth.
Could not matter less.
And unwittingly unleashes Blastrograth the Destroyer, an ancient evil demon that starts attacking the kitchen.
The most Adult Swim ass cartoon character I've ever seen.
He was totally like a photo collage, kind of like
Aqua Teen Hunger Force got put in a blender and out came Blastrograth or whatever.
Yes. This show walked so Aqua Teen Hunger Force could fly. I was gonna say swim. What is it really? Run. It's run.
Yes. What comes after walk? Fly?
Yeah. So PH calls on the Junior Spud Squad, who are a team of living potatoes that can fly and shoot lasers. And they fly into the kitchen. They're shooting Blastrograth. And eventually, with their combined forces, they can lock him back up in the microwave. During the battle, the kitchen fairy appears again, this time to tell Queenie to knock off her diet and be happy with who she is. And that's the end. Happy birthday to us.
I did also want to look up a little bit of what we didn't watch of these shows.
Mm-hmm.
So only 6 of the episodes have descriptions of Lost on Earth, and they're pretty basic. There's one, George demands that David gets rid of armless Ahab, which we kind of see a tease of, surprisingly, at the end of episode 1.
I didn't name all the puppets, but first of all, they all look like Jeff Dunham puppets. They're all gross-looking humans. And one of them is an armless guy in a Michael J. Fox vest.
Yeah, who he's got 2 things. 1, he likes to yell, "Earth sucks," and 2, he constantly there's jokes about, Ahab can't because he doesn't have any arms.
Yeah,
and I did think maybe he was performed by Bobcat Goldthwait because he sounds exactly like him,
but
he's so actually performed by the same man who performs Mr. Potato Head in the Mr. Potato Head show, Kevin Carlson.
Yeah.
But so George demands that David gets rid of Ahab. And when he doesn't, Ahab finds himself sitting in a local thrift store. So then Dave decides to try out for the Anchorman job. The problem with all of these is basically the show is about David trying to use these alien puppets to his advantage. But he keeps really trying to not use the puppets.
Yeah. The thing that shocked me the most about this show was it did not use the format basically at all. You could cut out every scene with the puppets and almost nothing would be different.
Absolutely.
They could have been real puppets and it would have basically been the same show. Like he could have been in there talking to himself with the puppets on his arms and it would have been the same thing pretty much.
Yeah, because that kind of happens at one point and people just are like, "Oh, all right, loser."
Yeah.
But the aliens get a chance to mingle at the TV station's costume party in one episode, which maybe could have been fun.
That sounds like it could have been a fun one. There's probably a lot of sexual harassment happening.
Do you think they made the costume party have to happen in the storage room? So they wouldn't have to move the puppets from their spots?
Oh. No, so I read this one too, and I was thinking it probably happened out in the regular office, and that they were just like, we're really big fans of the show, so we dress like the characters. That's my guess about what happened.
There's also an episode where Angela is trying to woo David and dresses up like Sherry.
Somehow he makes both Sherry and Angela mad.
Yeah, I don't.
Curious about that. I guess she walks in and sees a puppet dressed like her and probably flips out. I would imagine.
Yeah, maybe she thinks David is dressing up a life-size sex doll like her.
That's got to be what it is. Yeah.
But I did also read some of the Potato Head episodes that we did not watch.
Yes,
and
this
these
is why
descriptions...
Blastergrath the Destroyer is important because he comes back.
Yeah, so here just this is really, I try to trim it down, some of the things that happen throughout these 13 episodes of Mr. Potato Head Show. Queenie finds out she's descended from an Egyptian pharaoh. Mr. Potato Head tries to make a show for 2-year-olds. The TV guys give Mr. Potato Head a cookie jar full of money and he goes money crazy. Baloney accidentally turns Johnny Rotten Apple into a toaster. Mr. Potato Head does a reality show where he follows everyone around with a camera and ends up pitting everyone against each other.
Oh, that sounds kind of interesting.
Following Mr. Potato Head's Western show, the TV guys have him fire the writer due to gun violence. But once they've done that, they actually say, we prefer the violence, so bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Potato Head goes on vacation after filming Chowder Rangers. And he has Dr. Fruitcake create a robotic duplicate of him to take over the show while he's gone. And when he comes back, he finds out that everyone likes the robot better.
That's awesome.
Queenie gets depressed and uses Baloney's happy pillow to make her feel better.
What does that mean?
It's a pillow that you just hold and like suck your thumb and then you feel better.
Oh, okay. Like a security blanket kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does.
Happy pillow in quotation marks like that is not the best thing.
Yeah, it doesn't vibrate or anything, which I was afraid of when I checked that out.
Okay.
Flower Lady supposedly casts a curse on Mr. Potato Head. They order the cancellation of Mr. Potato Head's show. And so everyone goes their separate ways. Mr. Potato Head and Baloney go on a road trip. Queenie and Potato Bug perform on a glass-bottom cruise ship that shatters when she's singing. Dr. Fruitcake and the Ham Monster visit alternate realities where the Potato Head show wasn't canceled. And then Johnny Rotten Apple and Mr. Happy Whip work at a restaurant. And Mr. Giblets,
Happy Whip. We don't like Mr.
Giblets
Happy Whip.
runs for a position in the government.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, the show wraps up with the finale where we find out that the alien invasion is in full swing. Apparently that's a running thing throughout the season.
So the aliens from the first episode appear throughout the series and there's
apparently
kind of a background plot building up. Yeah.
Correct. So in a weird detail, it says they use clones of the car that Mr. Potato Head and Baloney use for their road trip so to fly into outer space to combat the aliens.
Why?
So then they receive help from Betty the Kitchen Fairy, who summons Blastergath the Destroyer to attack the aliens. So I guess they team up.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Potato Head confronts the TV guy's boss, who turns out was the alien leader the whole time.
Oh, wow.
He calls off the invasion.
The show.
Yes, for some reason. He calls off the show, leaves, and the other TV guys decide to put Mr. Potato Head's show back on the air.
Wow, we should have watched this whole series. It's got an arc. It's like a season of Sopranos or something.
I think the way we just experienced it might be the best way to experience it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So yeah, I don't know why we do this to ourselves, Sam. We should pick some good things next time because these stunk on ice.
Yeah, well, do we want to talk about? We should talk about the first one first, huh?
Yeah. So it's worth noting too. These both aired, or at least were made around the same time as Muppets Tonight is on TV. So
we also didn't mention that that a lot of the episodes of Lost on Earth were directed by Paul Fusco, who is Alf.
They should have had an Alf cameo.
They should have. That should have been the character that they were obsessed with.
Yeah. Yep. Or like was their leader instead of Tammy Faye.
Yeah, right.
I like also that the writers clearly were just trying to pick out weird looking celebrities. They listed out Sandra Bernhard, Quentin Tarantino, Lyle Lovett, and Tammy Faye as the other time traveling aliens. And it feels a lot like what they do with Men in Black, where there's like, who's a believably alien celebrity?
Men in Black had already come out at this point, right? 97. Parallel thinking. We had alien celebrities on the brain.
Or there's actually aliens among us, Sam. Who knows?
They're trying to tell. They tried to tell us in the 90s, but we didn't listen,
and no one watched it. But yeah, it makes me a little bit nervous about Muppets Tonight.
Yes, I had the same exact thought where I was like, I just don't want to see any edgy puppets. That's not what I'm really in the mood for.
Yeah, and I know that we at least get Miss Piggy recreating the orgasm scene from When Harry Met Sally.
No, really?
Yeah, with Billy Crystal in his episode of Muppets Tonight. So,
and is Frank doing it?
I believe, yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
um, so I know there's some edginess in there. I'm praying that it's better written, maybe, and like is a little classier than this sort of Greg the Bunny Fox grime that is covering everything in this
Oh, it's
era.
so grimy. What was going on?
I mean, there was a show that I remember there was like this UPN Fox era of shows. And there's just a show that I just remember commercials for called Shasta McNasty.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
And like
Right.
just that encapsulates everything about the late 90s. And I just feel like this is one of those eras of TV and music that I'm going to show my daughter when she's older, and she's going to be like, wait, this was real? People actually enjoyed and watched these things? And I'll be like, some people did. Yeah. But yeah, the fact that both of these shows, and we talked about this with Craig Shemin recently, Puppets got to make TV shows, I guess. Greg the Bunny, these two shows, Muppets Tonight, everything Jim Henson ever did.
There's no other idea. The Dragon Show, like what was that show called? Dragon Time. Puppet Man.
Puppet Man.
Yeah, there's no other idea. That's like, I guess that's just like the first easiest idea for puppets.
As long as
it's probably the
you can
cheapest
do
one too.
The Sesame Street, which is kind of on the line, like they kind of know they're in a show,
right?
Or you go Eureka's Castle, who's just a fantasy world.
Yeah, the Fraggle
But if you're
Rock
gonna
method,
make like the Muppets or the puppets in your show aware of what's happening at all, they have to be actors making a TV show. It's very interesting how that lines up, and I think we'll talk about these in like a different, like in order a little bit, but the difference in the way that these characters are treated in these two worlds is very weird, because Lost on Earth is a very traditional sitcom where there's puppet aliens, but you don't see them mingling with anybody else aside from maybe that one party episode. But we didn't see that, and they don't, mingle with the rest of the world.
Right.
Mr. Potato Head Show seems like this is a world in which these characters are known by humans, interact with two humans, but we have no concept of anything outside of the very small world we see in that show.
Right.
But yeah, getting into first Lost on Earth, it aired from January 4th through, it said on Wikipedia, April something, but we watched the 6th episode, which was the last one that aired on February 8th. So who knows? Yeah. Sometime in early 1997, the show came and went.
They pretty quickly said, oh, no, we can't do this.
I did look up. There's some not so favorable quotes about this. Some of these are just quotes. It says, an unsuccessful effort to duplicate the success of ALF. This program proved a swift failure despite the involvement of Fusco. It was criticized with some justification as having failed to appropriately target either a child or an adult audience.
Well, I wouldn't want children anywhere near this.
No, and the Los Angeles Times review called the series mirthless and a lost cause.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think like putting there's two things about this show that drove me up the wall. The first one was, I hated everything about it. Two things that drove me up the wall. The first one was that they said that the aliens watched the Muppet Show, and that's where they learned that people. So obviously they should have looked like little creatures, and they shouldn't have all been people. And I can only think that they were all people because they found people puppets, and they didn't, and they were like, oh, we have to make our own now. So they're just like people dressed in like regular clothes.
Yeah, the Muppet Show joke just feels like they wanted to make a Muppet joke.
Yeah.
And this is the best one they thought of.
Yeah. The only episode of the Muppet Show that they could have watched is that one where where it's like the gambler on the train and there's those creepy old men puppets, Or
they just saw Bobby Benson and the babies and they're like, all right.
Humans. Right?
Yeah, like you don't look like puppets. Like you don't show up like this kind of puppet if you're all sparking from the Muppet Show.
Right.
Like our idea that we talked about before with sort of the Muppets trying to blend into the world is like sending out Rolf, essentially, of like, hey, you're kind of a dog. People like dogs. Go blend into society.
Yeah.
And this is, like if they even acknowledged that they failed a little bit more of just like, we cannot leave because
Right.
of how grotesque and terrible we are.
They are so grotesque. There's also humans in the Muppet Show. There's not a single episode of that show that doesn't have humans.
That's the
in
thing
it,
too. Is
so,
like they're like, we watched the Muppet Show, and now we look like this, and it's like, did
Yeah.
you combine Kermit and Julie Andrews, and that's how you came up with this?
Yeah. The other thing is that producing this show, looking at the cut of this show, and seeing that your character is in 3 different, completely unrelated to each other locations, basically. Like, he's in the room with the puppets talking to them, he's at the bar with his friend talking to his friend, and then he's at the station talking to them.
Yeah.
It annoys me so deeply that he didn't. I thought for sure he's going to be like, hey, friend at the bar, you got to check this shit out. And
I
then
think
at
that
least
guy
2 people would
is
know about
an
him.
imaginary friend.
Yeah, he
'Cause
seems like
he only exists to agree with everything Dave says,
yeah,
and then just goes, all right, see you
Yeah.
later.
and like give him like try to help him with this problem, doesn't help at all, and then is completely unimportant to the plot. But yeah, so it just was like inept. It was a lost cause, completely inept. I don't know. I think Greg the Bunny is the version of this show that is correct, but is still
Yes.
really bad.
Correct. I think one, that show benefits from having a much more charismatic lead.
Oh my god, that guy drove me nuts. He was the most Chandler Bing guy ever. More than Chandler Bing.
But like the guy who lost out to the role of Chandler Bing,
Yeah.
but didn't even get the call back.
Right.
Like he auditioned, didn't get the call back, but they were like, maybe if these other 4 people fall through.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think for me, he just hates puppets. Like I think the man hates puppets outside of this show. Like it feels like not only does his character hate puppets, I feel like
the
that
show
man
is not that. Like the show
hates
kind of seems like
puppets.
it also hates puppets too. Like the people making the show.
Which
why,
is so
like why bother?
Right? Like I don't understand like why you make a puppet show and shit on puppets the whole time. That man has a newscastery voice.
Yeah.
He is the color commentator in Angels in the Outfield, if you which makes a lot of sense. Hilariously, he also ends up being on the Michael Richards show in 2000.
Oh wow. Another lost cause.
Yes. But he does eventually know Michael Richards. So
I think even if the show had been strip out the part with the living puppets, a newscaster gets busted down to have to do a kid show, could be a good idea for an adult sitcom in the 90s. Like you could do some like that's like Puppet Man also. Like
yeah,
he's on the show, there's like a lady who's the star who's like a little too hot, and he's like making nasty jokes to her, and she's kind of like a Miss Piggy character. Like there is a guy, just make Puppet Man. I don't know, there have been better versions of this, and they've all also been huge failures. So maybe just don't do it at all.
I think there's something also that's really tricky about this style of show, which if you're making a sketch show, I think works better on like a 30 Rock or Muppets Tonight even, where you're making a TV show that is not super successful, and so your bosses keep asking you to change it.
Right.
I think that works better when you're making sort of a sketch show, because that allows you to make weird sketches that bomb.
Yeah.
When you're a news show, seemingly, and from one episode to the next, you're making some sort of Daily Show spoof kind of thing, but then you want to be head anchor, and then you're trying to call CNN to report aliens exist. It's like every show.
And then you're making a Seinfeld parody.
Right. Like, where is that airing? What is your network? It just seems like, I mean, from the beginning of this episode, like the episode starts off with a chimp humping a man's face.
Yeah, great.
And he gets fired, not because that happened, but because he said the word humping on TV. And so we see Paul Gleason play the boss, who is the principal from Breakfast Club.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Doing the most. And he is the dad of Sherry, who is sleeping with Dave. And this episode so quickly, in like the first 2 minutes, goes from you're fired to what if he did a show with the puppets we have in the basement?
What if this local television station started producing a comedy, like a late night comedy news puppet show?
Well, I love that her explanation for it, which kudos to this actress for pulling off this in a convincing way. She's talking to her dad character and says like, well, you don't want to pay off his contract. That'd be expensive. And the sponsors want creative counter programming. And we have been wanting to do something with those puppets we have in storage. And you're like, oh, okay. I guess you did just explain why this show exists, but it makes no sense.
Maybe that's the real story of why the show exists. Like somebody is about to get fired and they knew there was a room full of puppets in the studio and they were like, look, give me one more chance, please.
Quick. I made some horrible puppets and I need to use them. So it's a tax write-off.
Uh-huh.
Do you think the plot line about him being an orphan goes anywhere?
Oh, I forgot completely about that because he thinks his dad's Walter Cronkite, right?
Yeah.
He probably brings it up every now and then as like a cheap attempt to like get some real pathos out of a moment or something.
Yeah, I bet
like
he's
that.
a shitty dude in these other episodes.
Yeah, I bet so too. I would bet if the show kept either it happened or if the show kept going on, he absolutely had sex with that lady puppet at some point.
I bet there's a point where, which I guess was what kind of happens with Sherry at the end of one of the episodes. They're in a dark closet and he thinks he's making out with Sherry.
Right.
And he comes out and then Angela's like, hee hee hee.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it'd be kind of interesting if they had a simmering romance between this puppet woman and this guy.
Way more insulting to Dave that Sherry thought Bram, the horrible eye-popping Muppet puppet guy, was him in the closet.
Why could one of them has the ability to shoot thousands of eyeballs out of his eye sockets. It's like Wembley making his eyes roll, except from hell.
Somebody in the puppet lab just created this effect, and they're like, that all right, how could we use that? They're like, it doesn't matter.
These were off the shelf somehow puppets, right? These couldn't have possibly been made for this show. That's my feeling on it.
I mean, I think they have to be. There's that one giant weird Shrek guy.
Yeah, why does he look? And he looks like a monster, but the rest of them don't, which is odd.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so the show, the pilot is basically the puppets wake up, terrify this man. The TV, like the theme song comes in like 6 minutes into this episode, so far in that you've forgotten that you haven't already seen a theme song.
It was awful too.
It's very much like a ripoff of Third Rock from the Sun. Like there's lots of spinning 3D
right. I forgot about that
and
show.
Stuff.
This is just a ripoff of Third Rock from the Sun.
But again, that's a good show.
Yeah, that show is great.
I don't like Dave, played by Tim Conlon here. I don't love Tim Conlon in this role, but whatever. The character of Dave, I also just don't like because he's one of those male leads that they just make be terrible in every way. He hates everyone around him. He hates his job. He doesn't want to try harder. Like everything about him you despise. I mean, they just tell you.
Classic Gen X 90s guy.
Yeah.
This was cool,
but they don't even
in the 90s.
Both these shows, the world inside of them is so small that we don't learn enough about their life outside of this. That I think Greg the Bunny did a good job of that, of taking us outside the studio and outside the house. You know, single camera shows can do that more.
Yeah.
But we got to learn a lot more about
we see their home
day-to-day life.
Yeah. Roommates. Yeah.
But he does at one point meet a random guy in a bar who is immediately like, hey, I believe in aliens and I'd love to see a news story about them. And so Dave has a new best friend named Nick.
Yeah.
And it's just like, hey, you say all the right things. We're best friends now.
I liked Nick. The thing about Nick was that I liked him. And I think he should have brought him to the thing and said, look, these are my friends, the aliens. And then Nick would just always be hanging out in the prop closet, you know, get him a job as a janitor or something like that. But to have him in a separate location is insane. I don't know what their thought process was.
They shouldn't even show him bring Nick there. Somehow one day he goes into the storage closet and Nick is just down there hanging out with the puppets. And he's like, Nick, what are you doing here? And he's like,
these guys are my friends.
Oh, I came over to find you and I ran into these guys.
Yeah. Or he's just like, I've known these guys forever. These are my buddies.
I also think some of those puppets needed like more fun names because you had Ahab, but then you had like Raleigh and Angela.
That was so confounding to me. Why? I mean, I guess they're trying to be normal people, so they disguise themselves. And the Third Rock from the Sun thing really has shown a lot of light on it. It is just like they're being as normal as they possibly can be, I think was the intention.
Yeah.
Bram. Yeah, I don't know.
They are too small of characters. They're just like one note thing. They don't really have depth. They don't move typically. Most of them are like very stationary. They don't even try to like hide them behind a box and have them walk around. They just are in one spot. So
there's like 3 normal guys who are completely interchangeable.
Well, because what it makes me think is that I don't believe them as characters for the most part. I believe them as puppets come to life, which they're
Right.
not. They're aliens who look like puppets. So they should have legs. They should be able to walk around and do a lot of
Yeah.
things, but somehow just look like puppets.
Well, speaking of legs, one of genuinely the scariest things I've ever seen was at the end of the first episode when David and what's his girlfriend's name?
Sherry.
When David and Sherry are making out, like the lady Muppet, the lady character Angela, who you haven't really seen her whole body, I feel like, up until this point, or maybe you haven't. I just wasn't paying attention. All the puppets are laying on the sofa, and Sherry's like, "Let's have sex in front of the puppets," and then, but Angela's.
I wish
kind of
that
like,
was further from the truth, but that's
Yeah.
the way Sam said that is pretty much how it happens in the episode.
I mean, even if it wasn't real puppets, I wouldn't necessarily want to have sex in a room full of puppets. But anyway, that's beside the point. So Angela's sitting on the sofa. You can see her full body, and she starts to like get up, and it's such a, and like her legs move and stuff, and
yeah,
it's such
it's
a
like she's going to kill Sherry.
There was no indication that you were a full human being, to me at least, and this is just like when her legs move, and you're like, oh god, that's a whole human being in a costume.
Yeah,
it's terrifying.
But yeah, that episode is pretty much Dave calls CNN to try and break the alien story. Nothing happens because the puppets all play dead when CNN shows up.
Obviously, what else did he think was going to happen?
Yeah. And then the puppets briefly put Dave on trial for trying to expose them. He apologizes. They forgive him. And then they make a different cool news show with the puppets.
It's the Daily Show. Yeah, you're right. That's where the Daily Show got the idea.
But like people... So this is more explained in the Potato Head show.
Uh-huh.
Who's making this show?
Yeah. Who's his crew? His crew who would see the puppets being alive. Is somebody have to like beat this David, like pretending that he's like working on them or something? This makes it seem
like Dave goes off with the puppets and makes the show, and then much like Potato Head brings in a tape and is like, what do you think?
Right.
Like guess, nobody else worked on the Seinfeld parody? Who built the set?
Yeah, totally. Well, I think they do mention like we've been working really hard on the show. So I suppose they're like little like the shoe elves or whatever.
Yeah.
And at night they're doing this stuff. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a wild show. The second episode I have so few notes about, and half of them have the words Michael Richards in my notes.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was going to go somewhere.
Right. Because there's several scenes where they keep saying like, oh, you think Michael Richards is going to just walk through that door? And they're hoping maybe the actors are like, maybe he will, please.
Sam, I think I wrote maybe one of my harshest notes I've ever written for a show. I wrote, not sure how this counts as an episode of television.
You're totally right. I was shocked with how little it seemed like anything had gotten worse on it. Like, yeah, this episode isn't about anything. Just like Seinfeld. Maybe it's a commentary on Seinfeld. It's a show about nothing.
Well, and I think after that first episode, I thought for sure it was going to go Greg the Bunny style and the puppets were going to be more involved.
Yeah.
And everyone was going to know the puppets by the end. Yeah. Or, we need more Ahab kind of thing. And maybe that happens in some of the episodes. But in this last episode, like you said earlier, the aliens could have been cut out of the show entirely, and it would not matter. His
friend, Nick, could have been obsessed with Michael Richards, and the plot would have been exactly the same. He would have had to cover
because really what this episode is about is he says he covers a lie for the aliens, saying that he was trying to track down Michael Richards. So then Sherry thinks that Michael Richards is his friend and is trying to please her dad, and so promises that Michael Richards will make an appearance on a show.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole story. And
then somewhere along the way, it becomes Sherry's fault that this happened. Because there's like a scene where he's like, you lied first. And she's like, I know, I'm so sorry. And then she's like groveling and stuff. Her role is so thankless. And this episode made me so mad when at the end she has to be like, I just wanted my daddy to pay attention to me. It's like, so 90s horrible, and also so like sexually aggressive, but like sex negative and disgusting at the same time.
I mean, it's not that far off from Sarah Silverman's character on Greg the Bunny.
Yeah,
where
that's true.
They meet and they're like complete enemies. They hate each other. And like the next episode we watched, she was like, oh my God, you're such a genius.
Yeah, right.
Jimmy, like, come here. And it's like, instead in that one, it's the son of the guy who's running the show. And yeah, it's just so, I don't know. This format's very interesting.
I can see how it is like the easiest thing to pitch to people, probably. Like it would be
Yeah.
easy to go into a room of suits and be like, in our show, it's set at a TV station because the puppets are making a TV show. It's like the Muppet Show. That's easy. And it's hard to think of another thing a puppet could do that wouldn't cost $1 billion.
Well, and I think it's also trying to convince TV networks to do a puppet show is probably pretty difficult.
Right.
Especially if your idea is that it's just an earnest puppet show.
Uh-huh.
It's just puppets living their lives. Like, we don't need to call attention to the fact that they're puppets.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you have to pull back the curtain sometimes to make other people interested.
Right. Totally.
Because some people, it's like musicals. Some people hate musicals because they can't get over the fact that people just break into song.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a suspension of disbelief when you're watching a puppet show that some people probably are like, if these puppets don't ever acknowledge how they look weird and act funny, I'm going to be pissed.
Right.
So I think there's something there where you have to, hang a lantern on it or whatever. And I think I understand why that becomes sort of, there's iterations on it that get worse and worse in some capacity. I feel like maybe we are going to be at some point the most knowledgeable people who could rank TV puppets making TV shows.
Yeah.
And decide which are the worst. Maybe that'll be a little spin-off episode we do every now and then as we find more of these.
That's our destiny. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't do them for our birthday. We make birthday episodes maybe more fun in the future, but we can do a little spin-off every now and then of like once a quarter or something. Be like, hey, it's time once again for puppets making TV shows.
I don't think anything's going to beat this one for worst, is my guess.
Not going to beat Lost on Earth?
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to be worse than Lost on Earth.
Well, Sam, have I got a show for you?
Is it Mr. Potato Head?
It's called the Mr. Potato Head Show.
No, wait a minute. I had one more thing to say. Here's what could have been interesting, maybe, for Lost on Earth. First of all, that's a horrible name too. But making them time traveling people from a different dimension instead of just saying we're aliens is also boneheaded. But I guess maybe they didn't want to be too much like Alf. What if they were cute little puppets? Like he walks in, he meets the puppets. They're cute little puppets, but then, he like looks behind to where the puppeteer is, and the implication is that like what it is like cosmically horrific, and he couldn't even describe what it is.
But there's just like glow on his face, and he's like,
but they're like, we gotta, like, the puppets are like, we gotta be these cute little guys so we can communicate with you, because if you look at us, you can't stop screaming. I think that would be cool. That would be kind of cool, right?
And then there's an episode that you play off of the whole Pokemon seizures thing that happened in the 90s.
Yeah, right.
And there's an episode where they accidentally showed
the set falls over. And it's
but it's their live special, and suddenly Americans, everyone watching, the nation,
and it cuts to a bunch of people with the glow on their face, and they're just
and they have to undo this horrible magic spell or whatever that has cursed everyone in America because they saw below the frame.
They have to cover it up somehow.
Sam, I think we just
wrote a much better show. We just did it.
Well, as far as I know, based on the way this has gone so far, that show exists, and it came out in 1996, and it stars Jason Bateman. I don't know.
Yeah, and a bunch of people in the Discord are going to be like, obviously, you fools.
Idiots.
I'd also like to point out that there was, I'm forgetting, a very successful puppet show happening right now, which was Mystery Science Theater 3000, which was a big show that had tons of puppets on it who were actually also making a television show.
Yes, they were forced to.
They were forced to make a television show.
This is I think this thing, ironically, has legs. This idea of doing some more episodes about puppets making TV shows.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too.
All right. Well, we've got another show to talk about, Sam.
Mr. Potato Head.
The Mr. Potato Head Show.
Did it bother you that in the theme song it rhymes? Everything they're saying rhymes with the word show, but they never say the Mr. Potato Head Show?
I didn't even notice that because the theme song is so bad.
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's one of those where you feel like it's explaining the show to you, but it's not really at the same time. So I don't know. It's a weird thing, and just the fact that somehow in the 90s, someone convinced Hasbro to make a show based on their beloved timeless toy.
Yeah.
I will point out, after Toy Story has been released, hey, what if we made a different thing starring Mr. Potato Head and made it super nasty?
Yeah, made it basically like Ren and Stimpy disgusting. With no characters, but like that you reckon. Because Mr. Potato Head famously has a wife and children and stuff
Not
like
in this.
that.
He's a swinging bachelor who's maybe sleeping with a sweet potato.
And he calls everybody baby.
Yeah, and he also, I think it's a joke, says tubular a lot.
Oh, because he's a potato.
He's a tuber.
Oh, yes. He does say tubular a lot.
But I couldn't tell if that was just a 90s thing or if that was he knew he was making a potato joke thing.
I bet he knew. These writers are smart.
Other potato jokes.
That's true, yeah. He doesn't. I mean, the fact that he's a potato basically has no bearing on anything, or that they're all food is not important at all.
I mean, there are tiny potatoes that come out and help, and there's like a Betty Crocker kind of character. So
yeah, that's true. It's like 2 different shows that accidentally ended up as
this
one
is like
show.
5 different shows.
I guess that's true. Yeah,
because the idea of the kitchen crew, this cute group of friends who live in a kitchen and are all made of food, led by Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah,
sure,
great idea for a show. I'll sign off on it. But wait, I didn't finish yet.
Yeah, there's like 4 more ideas. Don't stop me. What if they're also on the side all actors who make a TV show on their own, and then deliver VHS tapes to a TV network for approval?
What? I mean,
hold on. There's also a real evil scientist who can create real monsters, but only for the intention of using them in the show. Also, there will be aliens who sound like tough New York taxi drivers.
I like
can play the bagpipes and say that the baloney is going to rule the world at some point.
Is there going to be a sexy fairy lady with real human lips?
Don't worry, we've got plenty of sex. There's an ejaculatory whipped cream clown.
That was going to be my next question.
Cover everyone in whipped cream in the most. Yep, that's what I was afraid you were going to say, and you said it.
The show is sold. I was not on board until you said the whipped cream guy.
Yeah. That happens like every episode, or the other characters and the screen.
It's important to me that the first thing you see is that this whipped cream can is jizzing everywhere. Can you make that happen?
And don't worry, because in the other episode that I'm gonna that we'll watch, it happens, and it goes on for 5 seconds longer than it would definitely need to.
Gentlemen, I think we have a show.
It's called Jizzing Cream Clown.
Also,
no, you forgot about Mr. Potato Head.
In the second episode, they also say the word cream pie a lot too many times than they should also.
Yeah. So this show was a Fox Kids TV show.
Yeah. And I watched a lot of Fox Kids. I remember.
How did I miss this?
I think that's where Pokemon was on Fox Kids, I'm pretty sure. So I watched Eat the Cat. I watched all that crap. Hysteria. But I never heard of this show.
I think the problem is this looks like something that would be like a stickly. It would come on between shows.
Yes.
Like it looks like this should promote other shows.
That would have been much better.
I mean, it couldn't have been worse. Mr. Potato Head here is performed by Kevin Carlson, who we mentioned before. This is a man who has done many, many Muppet things. He has worked on Muppet Vision 3D. He's worked with the Muppets Go to the O2, the 2011 movie. He's done a ton of Muppet things. So he is
he was on Pee-wee,
a Muppet performer.
He was Conky the Robot on Pee-wee.
And Timmy the Tooth, if you guys remember that weird, sad Christian tooth.
I feel like most people our age will remember the weird, sad Christian tooth.
Was Timmy Christian?
I don't think he was. I think he just taught you about brushing your teeth.
Okay. He felt Christian.
Yeah, there was definitely that feeling to him is right. Think that the voice performances in this show were all pretty good. Like,
yeah, but once I realized that Mr. Potato Head sounds exactly like Rick from Rick and Morty, I could not unhear that. But the conceit of this show is so odd to me. Like, that's what I was saying earlier, is the idea behind Lost on Earth at least makes more sense.
Yeah.
Even though they abandon their format every so often.
Yes.
This one, we don't learn enough about this world where these pieces of food are allowed to just make a TV show on their own.
What confounds it a lot is that they're food and that he is Mr. Potato Head. That has no bearing on, like, Mr. Potato Head is famous. So if they had made him a toy and not food, and his other friends were other Hasbro toys or something like that,
right?
That at least is like, okay, that's something.
You could have made sexy Toy Story.
You could have made sexy, nasty Toy Story, but just the fact that that his friends are all nasty looking food that you couldn't even make toys out of or anything like that. So what's the point?
It's all old food. It's all been, that's some sweaty baloney is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
And you have a British punk rock apple named Johnny Rotten.
Johnny Rotten's disgusting. Yeah, he's an eaten apple core who's rotting, and also is based on Johnny Rotten. So he's a British punk guy.
But they also show up randomly throughout the kitchen. They're just like, and this guy's here. He's British. He's an apple. His name's Johnny Rotten. Oh, and he's also an actor in our TV show for some reason. But this is nothing about any of these characters besides, Queenie is a Miss Piggy nod. And then you have the potato bug who is helping, like, is the sort of the Scooter-ish, I guess, assistant here. But no one else really gets anything about their character explained, and especially the fact that we watched the first episode of the show and there is never an explanation in this pilot episode of what the fuck is happening.
Well, it's in the theme song. It's one line. He makes shows for the TV guys. That's it.
He makes shows for the TV guys, which feels like maybe the first idea someone wrote down about this show.
Yep. That is.
And then thought, oh, we got to write a theme song now. And they're like, okay, well, I got the first line.
What do you think about this?
But they show, even like in the theme song, they show way more interesting things about making the television show than they ever do in the show. They show the outside of this house/studio that they own that they never show like an establishing shot of that later on.
Right.
I think this just feels like they built 2 sets and that was it. Like they built the kitchen and they built the TV guys boardroom and they were like, we ran out of money because we made all these super gross puppets.
Yeah. I was just thinking about the different toys he could have hung out with instead. He could have hung out with Stretch Armstrong. He could have hung out with the Monopoly Man.
Worth noting also, these puppets were made by the Chiodo brothers.
Yeah. Well,
which makes a lot of sense.
Right. Because they made the killer clowns from outer space. So they know
some of the grossest puppets.
And Salem the cat in Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Less gross.
Who's a little gross in his own way. But like the fact that Mr. Potato Head has an established thing, and in the theme song this happens too. You're right, the theme song doesn't match the rest at all. In the theme song, his face flies apart, and there is a part where Queenie takes his ears out, but there is no like, even the fact that like his face can change. Like, why, if you're making a Mr. Potato Head show where he's an actor, are you not having him change his face and becoming almost like different people every episode? It could be like when Fred
angry
Flintstone
eyebrows or anything.
Yeah, like when Mr. Fred Flintstone gets conked on the head with the bowling ball.
Such respect.
That's like every episode of this show. He turns into somebody else and it causes some kind of issue for everyone or something like that.
Or, there's a fun conceit where maybe he even sort of, snaps into it and like becomes a different person when you change his eyes.
Yes, yeah.
But he sort of blacks out and he doesn't even remember what he just did.
Right.
Like when he's becoming all these different characters, he could sort of suit up and like get like, oh, for this, I need my muscly arms.
That's what I thought was going to happen. Because in the first episode, he does take out like a briefcase full of like costume stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just costumes. It's not different arms and things like that.
Yeah. Like, again, similar to you could delete the aliens from the first show. You could make this not Mr. Potato Head.
Mr. Potato Head. And it immediately becomes much more comprehensible.
Yeah.
And like
it's
when
much
you were
closer to a sausage party.
When you were going through all the different episodes, it did sound like, okay, I could maybe see like a more kids oriented, like this could have been Little Muppet Monsters, like that could be like the through line of a season of, it's not necessarily bad. It is bad, but it's mostly bad because they've crammed too many ideas into this thing. How did they never make a Furby show? Furby came out around the same time. I would have saved my money on Mr. Potato Head and said, let's make a Furby puppet. Let's get Furby out there.
He easily could be an alien that like came to Earth.
You could just remake Alf, but with Furby.
Because he looks a lot like if you ever saw the Purple People Eater movie.
Yes.
One of my favorites as a kid,
Yeah.
but nobody else ever seems to remember that movie exists. Writing it down now as a future birthday pick, by the way.
That would be a great one. I have seen that movie before.
I watched that VHS probably hundreds of times in my childhood.
Wow.
So it's one of those things that, I have a really strong memory of it as if it's the Goonies, where like obviously everyone loves the Purple People Eater movie.
Yeah.
But I know that is not the case.
Wow. It has Neil Patrick Harris, Ned Beatty.
Yeah.
Thora
my favorite
Birch,
thing.
Chubby Checker. Wow.
Yeah. Little Richard's the mayor. Thora Birch is like 1 year old in it. Neil Patrick Harris is maybe 12 or something. And at one point he is singing and they dub his voiceover with clearly like a 60-year-old man just being like, look like a Purple People Eater to me. And you're like, that's a 12-year-old Neil Patrick Harris. But Ned Beatty and Shelley Winters are delightful in it. It's a good movie, folks. It's probably not, but it was enjoyable when I was 5.
We'll find out next year on our birthdays.
Yeah, maybe that's what we should actually pick some nostalgic picks next year that
let's
we
do that.
enjoy.
I agree. I'll remember this and I'll remind you if you try to pick something that's nightmarish.
But yeah, the theme song, or like even the intro sequence for the Mr. Potato Head show, shows these characters like Muppets working together to make a show and to like make a thing that people would maybe want to watch, as opposed to what it seems like they're doing is making some YouTube videos, sending them to a TV network, and the TV network just constantly says, that's a bad idea. Don't do that.
We're not putting this on the air.
So I don't really know.
But he also is simultaneously a huge star that everybody loves when he walks into the TV station.
He has 4 groupies.
Well, okay.
They couldn't hire too many extras.
Like more people, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But yeah, I did think it was really funny when he was pulling into the TV station parking lot that they have just like a remote control car with like a stuffed potato in there.
Yeah, why not make the show like Greg the Bunny? And he is Mr. Potato Head and he's just friends with some guy and he's driving his little car around and they live in a house together and he changes his face every episode and causes trouble. It's so easy to fix these things. Come on. This one was the one I liked a lot more. And the things I liked about it were the clown coming everywhere. Not really, but we didn't really talk about it. There is a character that's whipped cream, a can of whipped cream. The very first scene of the show is the end of a cop show that Mr. Potato Head's making. Mr. Potato Head's like, we solved the case. And then the whipped cream, who's dressed like a clown in this instance, is like, that makes me so happy that you solved the case. And then he starts shooting whipped cream out of his head and going, well, and it just shoots and shoots and shoots.
Because he says, I'm so proud I could just. And then
that's right. Yeah. And the people making this knew. They knew.
Oh,
they've all come before. They know.
Sam.
They know.
Sam.
But so what I liked about the show was, another thing about the puppets was that I thought it was hilarious that they were made so that you could basically always see the bottom of them.
Oh
and
my
like
God.
people's arms and like the sticks and stuff like that.
We've learned this lesson in the 50s, guys.
Yeah.
You don't need to show the whole puppet all the time.
Yeah, put something in front of the puppets. That's what Jim thought.
For some reason, in almost every scene, you're seeing the feet of the smaller puppets standing on like a kitchen table, and between the legs, you can like see the puppet sleeve where the person's hand is,
or the stick that's making Potato Bug's mouth move or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm like, just lower them 3 inches.
Yeah,
we've accepted with Muppets that we don't need to actually have them be the height they are. Like they can stand behind a thing, and we just like don't think about the fact that Kermit's legs would be like 4 feet long if he was standing up this tall. You don't need to show us their shoes every scene.
But the real standout character for me was the Kitchen Fairy, who I thought was hilarious because every episode it seems like they're in a big jam and there's like in one the Frankenstein monster is attacking. He's made of ham. I liked him too. Made of ham, he has chicken legs and his arms are lobster claws. And then the Kitchen Fairy appears and they're always like, "Oh, are you here to save us?" And then the Kitchen Fairy is like, "No. Wait, I can't do that, but you were a real jerk to your friend." Or like in the second one, they're about to get shot with laser beams by the monster that they let out of the popcorn bag, and the Kitchen Fairy appears and they're like, "Oh, thank you for saving us." And she's like, "I'm not saving you, but you have to stop being on your diet." I thought that was a funny conceit to me. I thought.
Yes. I think she's a little bit like she's the Marjorie the trash heap of this
Yeah,
show.
totally.
And I'm okay with that character because she also does end up helping, even though she says, I'm not going to help.
Right.
She does remind him that, hey, didn't your friend say that
Baloney
aliens
can blow up ham.
like he can blow up ham now? So, you know, she is
Maybe
helpful.
if we were kids, we would like this. You think? Or do you think kids would like this?
Yeah, some kids, I'm sure, have nostalgia for this because I think there is a gross factor that certain kids enjoyed. I'm sure we
that's
did.
true. Yeah.
But I don't know. Overall, this was not. I don't know. I didn't get the appeal necessarily. I think reading through the episodes, I at least like that it's more cohesive of a show than Lost on Earth. It doesn't seem to hate itself as much as Lost on Earth did.
That's true. And I liked his interactions with the TV guys. I thought those scenes were kind of fun too.
I think this world is just too small for me. Is really what keeps I keep coming back to of just like I don't understand this world.
Yeah.
Where
who gave this food a TV contract? I need several episodes explaining that.
And if the end is that the aliens were actually behind the TV studio the whole time, that complicates it more than explains it to me.
Yeah. And they're trying to like if they had been behind the TV studio and had given him the show for some kind of evil means, that would have been something. But that they're trying to cancel. We saw Mr.
Potato Head and we knew we have to take over that potato for some reason.
Yeah, he's like a big star, so we're putting like brainwashing stuff in his show or something like that. I don't know.
Right. Like, why do the aliens have such a problem with Mr. Potato Head and his friends?
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, after the clown whipped creams everyone, it does lead to the fact that they make these VHS tapes, they watch them at home, decide they're good enough. And in this case, Baloney is going to drive the tape across town to the TV guys. And that's when he gets abducted by the tough guy aliens. But yeah, for an episode based on a childhood toy, not introducing any of the characters and then making it seem like Baloney is the most important character and he immediately gets abducted by bagpipe playing aliens. I don't know how a TV network watched that and said, I think we've done it.
You need to give us a second to live in this world, please.
Yeah, like even just let the first 10 minutes be Mr. Potato Head talking to us or trying to make a show or talking to the TV guys about what he would do with him and his friends to make something, because I don't know why he's doing anything he's doing.
I wonder if because Toy Story had come out, they couldn't make it, like they literally legally couldn't have it be anything related to having him be a toy that was alive, or like,
but it's still
referring to him as a toy at all.
Then don't call him Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah.
You call him, Jerry Potato. Like he doesn't need to be.
If your show has to be about a potato, just take his mustache off or whatever. Does he even have a mustache?
No. Doesn't even have the mustache.
What are we even doing here then?
This feels like there was some young, Gen X comedians who were like, ugh, Don Rickles is so old.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need that kind of old man comedy for our Mr. Potato Head. We need an edgy Mr. Potato Head. Bring him into the 90s.
Yeah, this Mr. Potato Head fucks for sure. The second
he knows what's happening with that clown.
Yeah. He's just trying to sneak it in under the censor's nose. The second episode gave me Big Muppet Baby vibes also. Like, I guess they both kind of did, because they jump around so much that it's like it doesn't end up where it started, but not like in a fun way like Simpsons episodes do on purpose. More just like, we forgot what we wrote in the beginning of this episode. And
sometimes it pulls them into a sketch for too long and you're like, wait, why are we still worrying about, like, we come back from a commercial and we're still in the monster story?
Yeah, exactly.
Guys,
exactly.
That is not the point of this show.
Uh-huh.
I would be curious to see the one episode where Mr. Potato Head makes a show for 2-year-olds to see if they lean into anything in like Sesame Street wise, or if they call out some other shows maybe.
Right. It does seem
I thought
like
they might with the second episode where they say they need to make an educational show.
Mm-hmm. It does seem like there could be some interesting, like they're trying to say some interesting things about the TV production industry, but it's also like, this is a kid show.
Man, you know what this is doing that bums me out?
What?
It's making me look back with rose-colored glasses on Greg the Bunny.
That's
And-
exactly how I almost wrote that exact same thing down. Where I was like, yeah, Greg the Bunny wasn't so bad.
Yeah. Like, I did not enjoy my time with Greg the Bunny, but now,
But it was
you know,
genuinely,
I'd rather watch all the episodes of Greg the Bunny than watch any more of this show.
It was a TV show. These other two TV shows weren't really exactly. They don't really clear that bar.
Yeah. But we do get some nods to TV production where he wants to use a gun to shoot the monster in the one sketch.
Yeah.
And they run in saying the censors say you can't use a gun in a kid's show.
The 90s were crazy. We were just saying all kinds of stuff and just talking about guns and stuff.
Well, and then, but there's a really, which is very 90s, in the second episode, because it's all about Queenie needing to lose weight.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And Mr. Potato Head's like, why do women always feel like they need to lose weight?
That was fucking crazy.
And Potato Bug lays out a very, logical way of basically the media forces us to believe the, ideal body image.
Yeah.
And the show goes, yeah, whatever.
The target audience for this show is not, it is probably like 8-year-olds or something like that.
Yeah. Leaning into Potato Bug is going to go on a feminist rant in this episode, I think is maybe only presented as something to laugh at and not an actual thing they're standing up for.
Like if you walked in and you saw your child watching an episode of a cartoon where the main female character is like, I gotta go on a crash diet.
Mm-hmm.
That would be bad, right? You wouldn't like that.
I mean, it does happen on the Muppet Show too, so I understand
totally
the ideal
that was
here.
Several decades before this,
right? And that's the thing is, like in the 90s, there's a very specific episode of Full House, which is a very special episode because it's not a funny episode where DJ goes on a crash diet and doesn't eat and faints, and it's treated as a serious thing. So we knew that this was not a good idea in the 90s. But hey, Count Giblet sure is disgusting, huh?
He reminds me of Chicken Liver from Sam and Friends.
I mean, he essentially is. Like, he's just a lump of meat.
Yeah.
But if the one thing I will say is if this show had turned out to be successful or good, these would have been amazing toys.
Yeah. I mean, they would have been gross as fuck, but kids like gross toys. All the toys in the toy aisle are like based on poop and boogers and stuff like that.
I feel like we were just talking either, off mic or in a recent episode about there was a line of toys in the 90s that were food.
Yeah. Food fighters.
What were those?
Food fighters.
Yeah. I feel like these would fit right in. Like Johnny Rotten Apple.
Johnny Rotten Apple is a food fighter for sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense because he's got the big, strong arms. Just like a food fighter to hold you.
Sexy Rotten Apple.
Yeah, he's got big arms just like the food fighters do. That would have been a better show. Make the food fighters. You already have the set built. Make the gross puppets. Have them shoot guns at each other. Every episode of the Food Fighters ends with all the food fighters dying in a hail of gunfire, and then they're all fine in the next episode. There's also some weird moments like when Sweet Potato's seeing them all as food, or like I think the TV guys are eating French fries at one point. But it's like it is just like that weird thing where it's like we don't really know what our concept is well enough to know if we should say, hey, don't eat those are French fries, or if like
there's not a logic behind anything.
Oh yeah, Mr. Potato Head's like, are you doing that thing they do in cartoons where you see your friends as food? But it's like you are food already, so this doesn't, and you don't say, wait a minute, I am food. Like even that would be something. It's
again, it's almost the thing where yes, Fozzie's a bear, but he doesn't look like bears.
Yeah,
and it's sort of that line of Mr. Potato Head is a potato, but not a potato.
Right.
Like he's not, like when she's envisioning him as a baked potato, that's so far outside the realm of what he actually is that he has to comment on, like, you're picturing us like food?
Right.
I don't know. I think that the logic is so thin and just breaks with literally any follow-up questions.
Yeah. I hate to do these episodes and just complain the whole time. Yeah. But it is just like, it's like, why did you get to make a TV show?
I will say, as much as I'm sure this episode has been extremely negative, hopefully it's been a fun listen in a negative way.
Yeah.
Because I think I enjoyed I'm happy I watched these.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy them as TV shows. I will not watch more of them unless somebody makes me somehow in a podcast form. But I am happy to have watched them, and I'm happy to know they exist, and that I enjoy talking to you about bad things.
Yeah, me too. And this comes from the era of TV where I was like watching TV 24/7, and and like flipping through cable back then. There was 3,000 shows like Lost on Earth that were just like somebody like in their little dark weird corner of television making this weird thing. And that part of it I think is cool. Like there was room for that kind of stuff back then. Even if it only aired for 6 episodes, it was like there were channels like UPN where they could make weird risky stuff. But then at the same time it's like you had the opportunity to do something and you messed it up. But you didn't have to have messed it up.
Yeah, this was on the Fox TV lineup at 8:30 in the morning.
Oh wow. I was definitely up watching, but I would have been on a different channel at that point.
So the things that were airing on the same channel around this time were Magic School Bus.
Okay.
Life with Louie.
Okay.
Bobby's World.
Okay.
But also Augie and the Cockroaches.
Oh. What channel was that on?
That was on Fox as well.
Okay.
But on other channels, on WB, was Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, and Hysteria.
Yeah, I would have been watching Tiny Toons or Animaniacs instead of this. What was on at the exact same time? Can you tell?
Yeah, that at that time was Animaniacs in the fall and Hysteria in the summer.
Okay, and this is a Saturday morning thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at 1998. In the fall, they did have the Mr. Potato Head show on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
That was competing with the new Batman Superman adventures.
Oh.
Which you definitely would have watched instead of the Mr. Potato Head show.
For sure.
But on ABC was competing against Hercules and the 101 Dalmatians series. So, yeah.
Oh, I can clearly remember watching Hercules, the Dumb Bunnies, Spider-Man, Donkey Kong Country. Oh, that was on Fox, though.
But I was definitely a one Saturday morning kid watching Doug and Recess and Pepper Ann. So I probably, if I was watching TV, probably wasn't even starting until one Saturday morning was coming on.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I'm noticing now that one Saturday morning started at 8:30, and I definitely would turn the TV on to that roller coaster on that big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't watching before that because I was not going to accidentally watch the mini adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
So yeah, we were just more interested in the charming counter programming than we were Mr. Potato Head show.
That's right.
But we did watch the other episode, which tries its best to explain the show a little bit more. At the beginning, we have Miss Licorice Lips, the narrator.
Oh, yeah. They had to add a new character in. Yeah.
Yeah. And she lists all the characters and the basic concept. Still doesn't go quite as deep as you might like, but at least does say what we're doing here.
Yeah. And she spares us an explanation of the whipped cream man.
But I feel like there's a lot of shows that do that sort of thing in their first season where they realize halfway through, like, shit, no one knows what the hell we're doing here.
Right.
We got to do some sort of wrap up to explain who everyone is.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one is mostly a superhero thing, the Adventures of Spudman. The one joke I think in these two episodes that actually got a little chuckle from me is when they're explaining the origins of Spudman. They say he absorbed enough radiation to kill 10 horses or one very large horse.
There was a couple little moments in this script that, like, these scripts were much funnier than the Lost on Earth ones. You got to admit that it was at least a funnier show than Lost on Earth.
Yeah, I think that's mostly Dave's fault. I think Dave was so either miscast or poorly written. I think both maybe, but like that show just didn't have the charm that somehow this show does sneak in a little bit of charm every now and then.
Yeah. I think the second episode was a lot better than the first episode personally too. And it did have
I don't know.
It did have an Adult Swim element to it that I appreciated.
His name is Blostergath.
Yeah.
He has a name, Sam.
Oh yeah, sorry. I meant overall. The tone was Adult Swim.
I think it's, what I'm realizing is the puppets from Lost on Earth and this basically had a baby and made crank yankers.
Ugh, yeah.
Because that's what this feels true. Like, is like Mr. Potato Head show looks like a crank yanker sketch.
Yeah. We were trying to make gross puppets happen in that time period, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to put my foot down. Let's never watch crank yankers on this podcast.
I don't want to watch crank yankers. I agree.
I hate prank phone calls in general, but the nastiness of those specifically,
Yeah,
don't want them.
I don't necessarily need to see that.
But yeah, I think the concept here is again wild, that Queenie is going on a crash diet and then microwaves a 6,000-year-old bag of popcorn
I
and
like that. I thought that was pretty
unleashes
funny.
Blostergrath the Destroyer, who is
Yeah.
a mutant piece of pizza who's 2D animated.
Is he pizza?
He's got pizza as a part of him.
Oh, okay. I thought he was just like some kind of demon from hell.
I mean,
I wasn't seeing food.
To be fair, that yes, he's just triangular, I guess.
Yeah.
Is what made me think pizza. But looking at him now, unfortunately, it does not say pizza to me.
Right.
There are two his like horns are the little things you use to hold cobs of corn.
Oh, that's fun.
But like the scale is very odd because his arms are tiny little spatulas. And he's got 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 9 eyes.
Yeah.
And maybe 2 mouths.
I was all right with this guy.
I think I was just kind of done with the show by the point he showed up, and I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah. Maybe why didn't you want to watch the last episode of this? You didn't think it would matter?
Because it was a 2-parter.
Oh.
And I didn't want to put us through 3 episodes
want to
of
have
this.
to watch more than, yes, that makes sense. It would have been crazy to watch the first episode and the last episode and then to be like, whoa, the aliens really came back full circle. It might have given us a skewed perspective of what the show was.
We probably would have thought the aliens were a huge part of the show.
Yeah, that's true.
Which maybe they were. We'll never know.
Yeah. I'm going to say I almost liked this show. I think this one was, I think if I had seen this as a kid, I would have been cracking up at it.
Yeah, I'll maybe give that to my younger self, that he maybe would have enjoyed this. But to me, I am shocked this went 13 episodes.
Yeah, me too. I'm surprised it didn't get pulled halfway through, because it is not good.
Yeah, this feels primed for produced 13, aired 3, got pulled off immediately.
Yeah. And you know what? Also, I think part of what I liked about it was it did have a little bit of a bump in the night feeling to it.
It did. And I think Blostergath also kind of fits into that world,
right?
Which maybe we got to give Bump in the Night a look-see sometime, because
that could be a show too. Yeah,
that's one of those where I have fond memories of, but could also be bad.
Bump in the Night is one where I think about it and I think, like, the hell, they did a stop motion cartoon for Saturday morning. That just seems like so much work that would never happen now.
Yeah, there's a toilet. They go in the toilet. Is that what's happening?
Squishy lives in the toilet.
Okay,
he's a toilet monster.
Of course.
Come on. Don't embarrass me.
Well, we've survived 2 more late 90s American-made puppet shows. Are there more in our future? Yes.
We'll undoubtedly dig up some other thing we've never heard of. That's what surprises me a lot too, is that, like, these are 2 shows that were on TV while we were watching TV and just didn't make any kind of impact at all.
Well, and Mr. Potato Head show, I guess, was like lost media up until like 8 years ago or something, and then suddenly just all the episodes showed up.
Yeah, I wonder what that's all about. And somebody out there is devoted to this show, because really the Wikipedia article for it is dense.
Yeah, and when I was looking up the Blostergath, he even shows up on the villains wiki, just like general like villains of media wiki.
So this show has its fans. I don't think Lost on Earth does, though.
No, I feel like that one didn't make any sort of cultural impact.
Nah, if it had cuter puppets, it would have it would have at least had some puppet aficionados.
Yeah, there's not a single character from that I'm like, put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, no fan. That Rule 34, there's porn of everything.
Well, okay.
There's not porn of this.
Okay.
There's not porn of this.
You can't put Angela in a show and not expect someone to have doodled something in a notebook at some point.
Oh, okay. I guess if I bet there's no uploaded to the internet porn of this at least.
Well, I'm not gonna look, but I feel like the words deviant art, Angela, Lost on Earth maybe would produce something.
Let's see. I'll look. I'll be brave. I'll be brave. Not on here.
Yeah, that's the word. Brave. Not curious.
It's not on here.
Oh, all right. Well, there's your next drawing assignment, Sam.
That's right. I have to make Rule 34 true. Once there's porn of this thing, then the 7th seal will open.
This was the last one.
Kingdom
of the last thing. Although, hopefully, it's also the case for the Mr. Potato Head show. But I guess when you have that clown and whipped cream man, it doesn't take
He actually that show already was porn. So
it just made it. Yeah, it just
that
did
one
it.
doesn't count.
You don't need to even do anything to the show.
Yeah,
it's
that one
fine.
doesn't count.
Well, I guess happy birthday, Sam.
Happy birthday to you too, Matt. This is a nice birthday present. I like doing this every year.
Yeah, we watch some terrible things sometimes, but it is nice to have a tradition built around our birthdays.
A terrible tradition is still a tradition, my friend.
But yeah, this is the way we celebrate our birthdays together. Well, Sam, I know we just talked about a lot of non-Muppet things, but I am curious if there were some other non-Muppet things you enjoyed this week.
I for some reason watched all of Wednesday over the last couple weeks.
Oh,
and
okay.
I think it is probably one of the stupidest, worst shows I've ever watched in my life.
No.
But the second, so a couple things. First of all, the second season far superior to the first season, I would say. The first season almost feels like a proof of concept for the second season. It's the kind of show where, for a couple of reasons, a bunch of the actors got canceled enough that they got pushed off the show, or they just wrote a bunch of characters out of the show. The first season has so many characters and so many different like love triangles and stuff that just don't really work. So the second season, you almost don't even need to watch the first season. You can probably watch like the first episode and the last episode or something like that. I guess the character that Gwendolyn Christie plays has a pretty good arc in the first season. Anyway, it's so close, just like the shows we just watched. Like, it's so close to being a good show, but it has too many ideas crammed into it in a way that is nonsensical and is actually really similar to the Mr. Potato Head show, where it's like, if this character hadn't been Mr. Potato Head, this show would have been made more sense. Like,
we would have had a lot less questions.
The fact that it's Mr. Potato Head confounds everything. The fact that it's a show about Wednesday Addams confounds everything, because she goes to, so the first problem is she goes to a school for monsters, which is not really what the Addams family is. So they go to this school that's kind of like a weird school, but even in this school, the Addams family is weird, which is the part that gets confusing, because they don't act like any of the other monsters that there's like a whole subculture basically of like werewolves and vampires and all kinds of, and invisible men and stuff like that. But they all act really normal, and they even to they like look at the Addams family and they're like, you guys are weird. You're eating bugs and stuff like that. So it's just like, why do the Addams family eat bugs and like kill each other and like carry knives and stuff like that, but none of the other monsters do? And there's no really like explanation for that. They're just weird compared to the monsters. But the whole point of the Addams family is that like they're weird in the world, but the world is really the place that's gone mad, and they're trying to make it normal. So to put her in that context where she's in a weird world strips away like such a big part of the Addams family.
Yeah, like those movies, the 90s Addams Family movies are so, in my opinion, great.
Yeah.
And so much of that relies on they are not normal.
Like, right. But they're shining a light on, like, they go to that camp where they put them in the cabin with the cute stuff. It's like they're not normal, but only to shine a light on the hypocrisy of everybody else.
Right, like the Thanksgiving play that they put on in the second one as well.
Right.
It's one of those where the humans are the real monsters.
But the show doesn't really do that. And there's even like the town that they live in even has like Pilgrim World in it, but they never do anything with it. It's really just like, you remember this, I guess?
Man.
Yeah. So it's bad. But then the first season doesn't really have the other Addams family in it very much. And then the second season, I think they were like, the cast is good. They really grew on me. It's
say, how's Fred Armisen?
Yes, and he is he's fine. He plays Uncle Fester, like the Uncle Fester from the old TV show, where it was he just does that voice. He's not being Uncle Fester from the movies, which is fine.
That makes more sense. When I heard Fred Armisen as Uncle Fester, I was trying to picture him doing like the Christopher Lloyd, and I was like, that doesn't feel like it works to me.
Yeah. He's doing the Jackie Coogan Uncle Fester, where he's got kind of the squeaky voice.
Hey!
Yeah, but he's also like a psychopath, and like he's like Crazy Harry kind of. It's like if your uncle was Crazy Harry and he shows up and causes mayhem and helps you go on like a crazy adventure. And he's fun. And like the guy who plays Pugsley is great, and Catherine Zeta-Jones and Luis Guzman are really good as Morticia and Gomez. It's like not the Gomez that you're used to, but it's much
Right.
more like the Gomez from the old comic strips. So
Mm.
so they're in it a lot more in the second season, and that increases my enjoyability. Like that makes it much better in my opinion. And they have their kind of own thing going on. But like Pugsley can shoot lightning out of his hands, and like Morticia can
Okay.
like is like a psychic, and there's just like little things where it's like, you guys, you didn't have to do this. But the standout, I think, is Thing. This Thing is probably, in my opinion, the best Thing. He's he's like her sidekick, and he's like in every episode, and they just have like a really cute relationship. And when Rachel was watching it, she was like, I genuinely wish I had a Thing. Like I wish I had a little best friend who could go do missions for me. So I don't know. It's like so light and fluffy that it's hard to be mad at, but at the same time it's like I love the Addams Family so much that I'm watching
Right.
it like, you don't understand anything about the Addams Family. I don't think that whoever created the show.
Right. Much, obviously not the same thing, not to besmirch Wednesday, but related to Mr. Potato Head show,
Yeah.
where it didn't have to be
Right.
the Mr. Potato Head for this
Right.
to be a good show.
You could have a
Like,
creepy girl detective at Monster School who's not Wednesday Addams.
right. You could be making an Emily the Strange show.
Right.
I know it's not necessarily the same conceit as we've said conceit like a dozen times in this episode. So
Emily
drink
the
every time
Strange
you hear
show-
conceit.
That'd be a pretty good idea.
Yeah, like make Emily the Strange and bring that back.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. It was fine. I don't know why I was compelled to watch the whole thing, just because that's what Netflix does really well. You just got to keep going. Gwendolyn Christie's actually pretty good at it too. I would give it like a 55%. It's just barely above being awful.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? What have you been watching?
I've been still making my way through the MCU. I'm still really enjoying the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is a show I never would have watched had I not decided to randomly do this.
That's surprising. I feel like whoever hosts that show on their server at Disney Plus is like that one guy.
Yeah, wow, he's really
S.H.I.E.L.D.
moving.
again.
I'm on season 4 now, and they've done the same thing actually that you're talking about with Wednesday, where they realized they had too many characters and they sort of like thinned the herd a little bit. Season 3 was like, okay, so we're going to kill off that guy and that guy. We're going to make these two retire, and then that person's going to get a different thing.
Right. It's always funny. Like sometimes they do it so subtly, and then you get to the end of the season and you're like, there's like 5 characters who weren't in this season. That's how Wednesday was, at least.
You could tell it was starting to happen because in that season, like the first season, there's like 5 main characters and they're a crew and they're so close and you love all of them.
Right.
And then by season 3, there's like 12 people and you're like, I don't care about some of these people at all. And so there's an episode that's like, I don't know, 5 episodes before the season finale where there's like slow motion music and everyone's like crying because these 2 people have to retire and leave. And I'm just like, oh, we are never going to see these actors again. Like,
well, they were supposed to get a spinoff, but it never happened.
Is that what was happening?
Yeah. That's what it was.
I was more of like, okay, well, I am happy with this because I can tell that they have realized they need to be off the show.
Right.
There's even a couple in jokes where people, like characters, comment on like, there's so many of us now. But yeah, I just watched Doctor Strange as well. I'm in that era of Marvel, and man, I hadn't watched that movie in so long that revisiting it, I was in the whole first half. I was like, yeah, this movie's amazing. And the second half, I'm like, man, this movie is boring.
Yeah, it's a real waste of Mads Mikkelsen too.
For me, it's really like, and I don't know if I felt this way the first time, but the whole like kaleidoscope world turning upside down Inception thing gets really boring and just monotonous by the end, because that's all that's kind of happening in the second half of the movie is just like, whoa, look at that.
I think they do some cool stuff with it in the second Doctor Strange movie. I
guess they just don't make it clear, like, why is that the way this fight happens? Like, and why don't you just drop a building on people every time? And
there's just something about boiling the magic down to like some kind of, it's almost like math or something like that. it's so different from the old comics where they would go to like really psychedelic different dimensions.
Yeah.
And just turning that into the Inception
Yeah,
thing.
it's very,
was
I don't know.
weird.
It just I realized at a certain point that the fights just felt meaningless and I did not care at all after like the halfway point of the movie. But the beginning, I actually am like, it made me realize I missed when Doctor Strange was a dick. Like he's way more interesting in the first half of that movie when he's just an asshole.
Right.
And
when he's being House.
Yeah, a little bit. The weirdest thing, so like Benedict Cumberbatch's American accent isn't terrible, but I remember the first time that trailer came out, like the very first teaser for Doctor Strange, there's like a narration over the top of it that's like this. And I would have bet you $100 that it was Dennis Quaid for some reason. Like that's the voice that I heard narrating this trailer, and I was like, who is Dennis Quaid gonna play in Doctor Strange?
I remember feeling the same, being like, whoa, what the hell?
And then realizing, oh, that's actually Benedict Cumberbatch's voice. So, okay, here we go. But yeah, also last night we watched the first episode of The Paper.
Oh, yeah. How's that?
Pretty good, actually.
Really?
I was shocked.
Okay.
It seems promising. It was funnier than I thought it would be. And there's some heart in there that maybe isn't present in The Office in the same way.
It's just so transparently like, we don't know what else to do. So
it doesn't feel that way when you watch it.
Again. Okay.
Which is nice. It does not feel like please remember The Office when we made this TV show. Help.
Right.
There's definitely like nods to the show, but I feel like it's going to get away from those pretty quickly. And it feels like it became its own thing by the end of the episode.
What's it like having Oscar on it, though?
He's barely in it. And I kind of hope it kind of stays that way, where he's there as the little connective tissue, but I don't think he needs to be too big of a part of it because Donald Gleason is really good. It sort of feels like The Office had a baby with the Newsroom.
Oh, interesting.
As far as the energy of the show goes. So hopefully that is a sweet spot that it stays good in. Well, it's time for me to let you all know what we're watching next time. And next time, prepare yourselves, because for the first time in 3.5 months, we make our triumphant return to the commitment timeline.
Oh, I don't like this. I don't like that. We have not made any progress.
No.
Yet time has kept
Sam,
marching on.
You're going to be very sad very soon, because there's going to be a while where not only have we not been progressing, but when we get to the Jim Henson Hour, we're going to be parallel and watching in real time.
The human life only is so long.
I mean,
why are you doing this to us?
I think it's a perfect reminder on your birthday.
That's true. Okay.
So we will be continuing through the spring of 1989 by watching the special Sesame Street 20 and Still Counting.
Okay.
Which hopefully will be enjoyable. I will note it is hosted by Bill Cosby, so we have to reckon with that.
Brother, okay.
Yeah. Okay. But we are also watching part of a documentary called The Sesame Street Experiment, which is sort of another piece of like lost media kind of thing, where some of it has been saved and discovered. So we'll watch the 11 minutes of that exists.
Okay.
And we'll be joined by a special guest, Tough Pigs writer and host of the currently running Tough Pigs podcast, A Prairie Dawn Companion, Becca Petunia.
Oh, that's a great name.
Mm-hmm. And they had Fran Brill on the podcast recently. So
awesome.
Becca Petunia, she will be joining us to discuss some Sesame Street. And when I was scheduling with her, I was like, how long do you want to be on? And she's like, I could talk about Sesame Street for hours, so you'll have to stop me. So
that's great. I feel like we haven't had a Sesame Street expert on the show.
Or not at least one that we've poked and prodded and asked about Sesame Street. Yeah. So I think we can definitely...
Oh, yeah, for sure. We've had people who know a lot about it. But yeah.
But we, hopefully there's a lot to say about Sesame Street 20 and Still Counting. But if there's not, we've got Becca here, and she will happily talk to us about Sesame Street.
Awesome.
So we got to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast, and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all commitment needs. You can rate and review this podcast on your platform of choice. If you want to email us, hit us up at mail@commitment.com. You can follow us on social media at commitmentpod or at commitment.com on Blue Sky, where you can also follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.